Hey guys, welcome back to Short, Sweet, and Southern. Today I am going to be making a recipe for you that was requested by one of you guys who watched the videos. The last time I did a video, I posted ingredients, as sometimes I do, and I just said, hey, what do you think I'm making? And the person who gets it correctly gets to decide what I make in the next video. So Denise Key guessed correctly on my last video. She said I think an Asian salad or a cabbage salad, and I did make that Napa cabbage salad. I hope some of you guys have tried it because it's really good. So today I am making the Mississippi mud cake. I'll be honest, like I've never made a Mississippi mud cake before. I grew up eating Mississippi mud cake. It's chocolate, it's marshmallows, it's pecans. Why not? And I remember my grandma making these, my granny, and I looked through some of the cookbooks that I have of hers because she and I collected cookbooks together. That was one of our things that we love to do, and we love to cook together. But I couldn't find a recipe in any of the cookbooks that I had of hers, or even any of my cookbooks that I collected, that had a Mississippi mud cake recipe. Even our local like churches or civic groups or schools will sometimes do cookbooks. Couldn't find any Mississippi mud cake recipes. So I don't know if that's something that's not regional to our area. I feel like it's a southern recipe, but maybe it's just not. I did look online to see kind of where it comes from, like why it's called Mississippi mud cake. And it said that the cake resembles the mud of the Mississippi River, like the banks. So that's where the name comes from. I don't know why it's not in Tennessee, Overton County, Tennessee cookbooks, but I can't find it in any of the ones I have. So that being said, I'm using a recipe I found online, and it starts with one of these semi-sweet baking squares. This is 4 ounces, and you just melt this in the microwave with 2 sticks of butter on 30-second intervals, stirring about every 30 seconds until it's nice and melted and smooth, which is what I've got it here. I did use salted butter. The recipe calls for salt, and I didn't have any unsalted butter. That's a lie. I have 1 stick of unsalted butter, and that's going in the icing. So I had 2 sticks of salted butter, and I used those instead of salt in the recipe because that's what I have on hand. So I'm going to set that aside. And to it, I'm going to mix some of the other ingredients together. I've got some all-purpose flour, and I believe there's a 1.5 cups of this. Let me check. 1.5 cups. Yes, I'm having to check my recipe because, like I said, never made this before, so we're going to see how it turns out. And some cocoa powder, 1/2 cup. It's going to be really chocolatey, which is great for me because I love chocolate. So, no complaints. Just going to whisk these together. Get that powdered cocoa mixed into that flour. If you've ever ate just straight cocoa powder, it's not good. One time I remember asking my granny, I was like, I just want to try it. Like, I just want to see what it tastes like. And she's like, don't do it, it's terrible. And so I got a big spoonful of it, and it was terrible. She was right. It was absolutely disgusting. Brown sugar, on the other hand, I can eat with a spoon. That stuff is delicious. But cocoa powder, not so much. I have got that flour and cocoa powder pretty well mixed together. I believe I've got everything down at the bottom. And to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar. And I probably should have got a bigger bowl to mix this together in. But we'll make do with what we've got. I'm going to set these to the side. I've got 4 eggs here, and I'm just going to kind of whisk those a little bit. Beat those yolks up a tad before I put those in the batter. And I'm making a mess, as usual. Okay. Now I'm just going to add a little bit of these to this chocolate mixture. And my eggs are room temperature, so I'm not putting cold eggs into a warm chocolate mixture, but I just kind of want to mix these up a little bit instead of just putting it in there with the chocolate being warm. Nobody wants scrambled eggs in their cake. Just going to give that a good stir. And I'm also going to add a teaspoon of vanilla. this recipe was it said that they made this after the war because most of the ingredients was something that people had on hand, which makes sense because a lot of this is pretty basic ingredients. There's nothing real fancy here except for this semi-sweet chocolate bar. And honestly, some of the recipes I found didn't have this. I probably should have made the recipe without it, but this one called for it and it sounded pretty good, so I'm going to go with it. I'm going to add my dry ingredients. Stir it up. There's also Mississippi mud pies, Mississippi mud brownies. There were several variations of this recipe whenever I looked it up, that you could add like peanuts and caramel and lots of different things to it. So today I'm just going to make this traditional chocolate with marshmallow and pecans. And I'm pretty excited about it actually. Okay, it also said that you didn't need a lot of utensils and that you could mix this thing by hand, but I think this recipe lied because this is killing my arm. So I am probably gonna go get my mixer. Okay, so I did go get the hand mixer. So if you try this recipe at home, have a mixer on hand. It could be a hand mixer, it could be a stand mixer, but do not try to whisk this thing yourself. Because this batter's kind of thick. And I'm hoping this is the way it's supposed to be. We will find out later. Kind of feels like mud to me. Guess that's what a mud cake is supposed to feel like, and so I'm just going to scrape down the sides of the bowl. Make sure we get everything in there. Don't want to leave any dry stuff on the side of the bowl. I believe we've got it all. The one thing that this recipe didn't call for in the batter that I remember being in the mud cakes I ate as a child was pecans actually in the batter. There's pecans in the icing, but this one didn't call for pecans in the batter, and I'm going to add some. I'm going to add some chopped, almost like a crushed pecan. I like the texture of them, and I love pecans. They're my favorite nut. So I just, like I said, put some, probably about a cup, maybe a little more than a cup, didn't measure it, of pecans in here. Just gonna stir those through. And while I'm stirring, this recipe called for a jelly roll pan, for a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan. I don't know that I have a 10 by 15 jelly roll pan, just being honest. I don't make a lot of jelly rolls. Maybe I should, but something else I've never tried. We'll add it to the list of things to try, but not today. So I have this 9 by 13. Actually, it's not a 9 by 13. It's bigger than a 9 by 13. It might be a 10 by 15. I don't know, but I'm gonna use it. I'll tell you in a minute. It's a 4-quart pan. We're going with it. We're gonna set it. And this stuff is super thick. Like crazy thick. But it smells amazing. Like so chocolatey. If I haven't said it, I'm gonna say it again. Like, I'm super excited. I know I've already said that. I'm gonna say it again. I'm really, really excited about this cake. So Denise Key, thank you for suggesting Mississippi mud cake, because otherwise I may have never made one. And I've probably been missing out. Y'all, this stuff is so thick. I'd still be stirring with that whisk if I hadn't went and got this hand mixer. No doubt. Get all of it out of the bowl. And you don't have to have a 4-quart pan or a 10 by 15 pan, I don't think. Pretty sure you can make this in a 9 by 13. It'll probably be a little bit thicker, so you probably want to cook it a little bit longer. The recipe calls for 30 minutes, I'm pretty sure. Just a second, I'll tell you. 20 minutes. Recipe calls for 20 minutes in the 10 by 15 jelly roll pan. I'm going to start out with 20 minutes on this 4-quart pan. See how that goes. We'll check it after 20 minutes. And then you put marshmallows on top. Just load this thing up with marshmallows and stick it back in the oven for a few minutes and then they melt. And then you put more chocolate on top of that. There's a chocolate icing that goes on top of that. So it's gonna be chocolate overload. There's no such thing as too much chocolate. All right, I'm gonna get this thing in the oven. I may or may not lick the spatula while y'all aren't watching. I'm probably going to. Okay, the cake has came out of the oven. I let it cook for exactly 20 minutes on 350 like it said. And I'm gonna put this whole bag of marshmallows over the top of it. This is just a 10-ounce bag of miniature marshmallows. Just pour these on there. Kind of spread them out. Y'all, this thing smells amazing. Okay. Got the marshmallows on. I think I've got them everywhere. I'm gonna stick this back in the oven for about 8 to 10 minutes and we will see what it's like when it comes back out. We'll put the icing on it. Okay, so we're going to make the icing that's going to go over the top of the cake. And I just took it out of the oven and it looks so good. The marshmallows have puffed up really big and they've kind of got a golden brown color on them, so I'm super excited to try those. All right, so in here we've got a stick of butter that's melted. And to this we're going to add a 1/3 cup of milk. Just going to mix that together. And we are going to add 6 tablespoons of cocoa powder. You just want to get this mixed together and you want to let it cook for about 4 to 5 minutes, it says. We're going to let this cook for a few minutes and then we'll add it to the powdered sugar to make the icing. Okay, so I have taken the cake out of the oven. Like I said, the marshmallows were all puffed up when I first took it out, but they've kind of fell a little bit. I've melted together the butter, the cocoa powder, and the milk on the stove, and I'm just going to add that to powdered sugar. In this bowl here, and I'm going to use the hand mixer this time. And this is just going to make the icing. You also want to add in a teaspoon of vanilla extract. Got that mixed together. And add in a cup of crushed pecans or chopped pecans. Somebody come get her. Has anybody else been, watching TikToks and kind of obsessed like I have been lately? Saw this one TikTok the other day where this lady was talking about all the cool things that people have in their houses, and some people have a cool cabinet, some people have a cool room or whatever. This lady had, she walks into her pantry, and it's a walk-in pantry, which I'm already super jealous of, and she walks into her walk-in pantry, and there's this little door there, in the pantry. There's this tiny little door that looks like it would go to a kid's playroom, and she opens that door, and it goes to the garage. There's a little door in her pantry that goes to the garage. It's so you can put your groceries directly from the garage out of your car into your pantry. That's genius. So if I ever build a house, having one of those doors, y'all, I'm going to have my pantry on the other side of my garage, and I'm going to have one of those little tiny human doors that I can just sit my groceries right into my pantry. Okay, so I have mixed together the pecans with this chocolatey goodness. And I'm assuming you just pour this over. Marshmallows are kind of soupy and this stuff is sinking in. I don't know if this is what this is supposed to do. Again, this is my first time. But I'm going with it. Looks good. Smells good. Not sure how it's going to taste. Not sure if this is what the marshmallows are supposed to do. But we'll find out in a few minutes whenever I eat it. It is not the prettiest thing I've ever made. Like, because those marshmallows, like, seriously, like, came up over the top of that chocolate, y'all. I don't know if you can see that. But, like, that chocolate icing just kind of sunk down in there. And those marshmallows went, whoo. Because they went, like, woo. Up over the top, y'all. Okay. So, yeah, if I was going to picture the Mississippi River, this is exactly what I'd picture. But I'm going to quit stirring in it because it's probably going to make it worse. Denise, I hope this is kind of what you had envisioned for Mississippi mud cake. And I will cut a piece of it and put it on a plate and we'll see what it tastes like. Okay, y'all, this is what it looks like. Again, I'm not sure that that's what it's supposed to look like. I'm pretty sure that the chocolate was supposed to stay on top of the marshmallows, and it did not. Either way, there's no shame in my mud pie cake game. Mississippi mud cake, not even pie. This is Mississippi mud cake. But there's still no shame in my Mississippi mud cake game because I'm pretty sure it's going to taste great because it smells amazing. So, I'm going to cut a piece of it. I'm going to try to do this one-handed while I video. It's still warm, so I don't know if I'm supposed to cut it while it's warm, but I'm going to. Because if y'all have watched any of my videos, y'all know that I like my desserts warm. Oh, y'all. Can you see that marshmallow? Holy cow. Yes. It's like cheese on pizza. Oh my gosh. And I put it on my fancy plate, aka chinette. That's what we use around here. It's not even real chinette. It's like fake chinette. It's like a Dixie plate. But, okay. So I'm going to try this and hope y'all try it too. If so, let me know what you think. And check back soon for more short, sweet, and southern recipes. Thanks, guys. Okay, y'all. So even though this cake is not pretty at all, it's delicious. Absolutely amazing. If you like chocolate, this is the cake for you. Yours might turn out prettier than mine. I don't know. I'm not even worried about it because it is so good. So make it. Try it. Let me know what you think. And come back and watch next week. I'll probably have another video. And if you have any suggestions or anything you want to see, send me a message. Leave a comment. But try this. Thanks again, Denise. It's amazing. Thanks, guys.